Good evening and welcome to the 100 Days of Shakespeare event. Today is day 9 and we are going to spend a very short amount of time tonight. We're going to do 5 minutes of Marlowe. So going to do a bit of an overview, but just in case you aren't aware of what the 100 Days of Shakespeare is, it is an event set up by Carolina Furman, a member of the Society for Creative Anachronism, the SCA, which is a worldwide medieval reenactment society, and Australia, New Zealand and Antarctica make up the Kingdom of Lockhart within that worldwide society. I'm a member of that society. I know Carolina. She set this up as an opportunity to have a block of time to investigate Shakespeare, his life, his times, and at your own pace, just dig in and experience more of Shakespeare, learn a little bit more, share what you've learnt with anyone that is interested. And so she has created a Facebook group that you can join, and I will link that up in the description below, so that if you're interested, you can jump in and learn some more, share some knowledge with those of us that are involved. And I am really excited actually about the sort of resources that she's pulling together. There's podcasts, there's articles, not just her, but a few people. And I really think it's going to become quite an amazing resource down the track for anyone interested in looking for a jumping off point with regards to researching Shakespeare. So a lot of very cool resources in there. So I definitely encourage you to, once you've finished watching this video and hopefully a few more, and you head over to Facebook, grab that link and check out the Facebook group. So tonight what I want to do is just spend a little bit of time looking at the life of Marlowe. So the plan is that this is going to probably take, I don't know, about 5 minutes or so, and be a pretty quick overview of his life. So with that said, let's dig into it. So Marlowe was baptised on February 26, 1564, which means that he was likely born on February 23rd. So it was customary in those times to actually baptise the baby 3 days after their birth. So similar to Shakespeare, we don't have an exact birth date. We only have their baptismal date, and so it is assumed that they were born 3 days earlier. And so February 26 was Marlowe's baptismal date. He was born in Canterbury in Kent and was the son of a shoemaker. Now, we don't have a lot of information about the early times of his schooling, but we do know he ended up at university and got a bachelor's degree in 1584. Now, he went on and studied a bit longer at Canterbury and was due to receive a master's, but was actually declined the master's. They were, I don't know if they declined it, but they were definitely hesitant in giving it to him because of his absences. But they ended up giving him his master's in 1587 after they had received a letter from the Privy Council declaring that he had been employed, and I'll just read this to get the wording correct, on matters touching the benefit of his country. So it is firmly believed that, widely, not wildly, it is widely believed that he was in the service of Elizabeth I's secret service and the Privy Council. So, so he ended up getting his master's. Now, it was around that time that he was also writing for the theatre, and so he had a writing career of about 6 years, cut short due to an untimely death, which we'll get to very, very soon. But not only around this time was he making his name as a playwright, and I'll drop it out now, I guess he was notably the person who is accredited as being the person to establish dramatic blank verse, which is the unrhymed version of iambic pentameter. And if you actually look at some of Marlowe's writing, you can kind of see where Shakespeare was jumping off from and bouncing from on some of the stuff that he was doing. I really quite like quite a bit of Marlowe's writing. So he was establishing himself as a playwright, but he was also establishing himself as a well-known atheist. Now, atheism and heresy were illegal, punishable by burning at the stake, and he was actually arrested for this on the 20th of May, 1593, sorry. And so so instead of being burnt at the stake, very likely because of his connection to the Privy Council and Secret Service, he was allowed to go, but he had to report to a court officer every day until they decided that he didn't need to. So how long that was going to be, who knows. So his works entail 6 plays: Dido, Queen of Carthage, Tamburlaine, The Jew of Malta, Dr. Faustus, Edward II, and The Massacre at Paris. He also had a couple of pieces of poetry and translations, and they are Amores, The Passionate Shepherd to His Love, Hero and Leander, and Pharsalia. I'm not quite sure if I'm saying that correctly. There was a couple of other works that he was potentially connected to as well, but I won't worry about those so much. Now, I've got to say, Faustus is one of the most rewritten plays in history, and his version of Faustus I love. It's one of my favourite plays, and certainly my favourite of his plays. So definitely recommend you going out and reading that one if you haven't read it already. So that's the idea of Faustus doing a deal with Mephistopheles, the devil, and great play, really love it. His Jew of Malta is considered to be an inspiration for Shakespeare's Merchant of Venice. Very similar sort of story, and considered to be an inspirational kind of jumping off point for Shakespeare's version of that play. Now, basically, we get to the end of Marlowe's life. So on May 30, 1593, so 10 days after he'd been arrested for heresy, he was in a lodging house with 3 gentlemen: Ingram Fraser, Nicholas Skerries, not sure if I'm saying that right, and Robert Poley. And apparently the 4 of them had spent the day together in a lodging house. Now, a lodging house is also known to have been a place that housed not just kind of temporary accommodation, but prostitutes. So whether they were spending the day with a prostitute or many prostitutes, not sure, who knows. But it is said that there was a dispute over the bill at the end of the day, and that Marlowe was stabbed by Ingram Fraser in the forehead, killing him dead. So there endeth the life of Marlowe. Now, there is a lot of speculation that he was also killed off because of his vocal atheism. There were supposedly letters found, papers written that he had written denouncing Christianity. So there is quite a lot of speculation that he was actually killed because of that, and the belief that he was a spy for the Privy Council. So obviously there's no hard evidence to any of that, but it is some of the speculation that surrounds his death. So fairly short-lived, 29 in the end when he died. So was just really starting to get a hold of a career as a playwright. And I think, if you go back and read some of his work, it would have been really quite amazing to see him as a contemporary for Shakespeare the whole way through if he had continued to live. So it would have been a very different history of that period, I think, had he not been killed. So really interesting. So that's Marlowe. Quick wrap up of Marlowe's life. Jumping off points, there's a lot of literature around him. Obviously, again, you can get books of Marlowe's complete works, which have some information in there around his life and the inspirations that he used to write his work. So definitely encourage you to check that out as well. But thanks so much for joining me today on this little jaunt through the life and very quick death of Christopher Marlowe. Of course, if you got anything out of this, it'd be great if you gave the video a like, subscribe to the channel, and I encourage you to jump into any of these other videos that will appear on the screen and dig a little bit more into the lifetimes and work of William Shakespeare over the next 100 days. And of course, if you're seeing this well afterwards, there'll be 100 videos in the playlist that you can access to learn a little bit more about the lifetimes and work of William Shakespeare. Don't forget the Facebook group. Head over there as well. Not that I want to send you away from YouTube. But yeah, so like and subscribe if you can. That would be great. And I'll see you on the next one. Thanks very much.